Hi guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be another true crime video. This story is literally insane. Like, it is probably one of the craziest true crime, I guess, cases that I have ever heard of. It's wild. But before we get into it, I would like to thank Keen for sponsoring this video. You guys know I love Keen and I've worked with them several times in the past, and if you don't know about Keen, it is basically a website that provides access to vetted psychics and spiritual advisors. These psychics and spiritual advisors provide guidance on life's challenges and clarity in love and relationships, and also clarity in career and just anything that you want to know about. They are incredible. Keen is also one of the most affordable ways to get an instant reading from a psychic 24/7, which is honestly great because sometimes at 3 a.m. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I need a reading. Like, I do this a lot where I'm just like, oh, I need to know about this like one thing, and I'll be thinking about it at like literally 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's great because I can just go on Keen and get a reading instantly, and it's honestly so convenient. I've had so many great readings with Keen. I've had like past life readings, just general like advice, and I've had readings about like my podcast that's coming up, me moving, like all of these things, and it's been so beneficial for me. As a new Keen customer, you will get your first 10 minutes for $1.99. Then pricing after that depends on which spiritual advisor you choose or psychic, and the services are backed with a satisfaction guarantee. It's great because Keen is one of the most affordable ways to get in touch with one of these psychics or spiritual advisors, and that means that you could keep up kind of a monthly consistent basis. And this helps, like, you know, you can cleanse your chakras, you can set intentions for the month with them, and or just get general advice each month, and it's super great because then you understand the importance of synchronicities, and it's just amazing. And literally every single week Keen sends its users discount codes. Like, I get them all of the time, so definitely if you're already a Keen user, check your email because I'm sure you have a discount code. If you want to try Keen out and get your first 10 minutes for $1.99, go to trykeen.com/Michelle and definitely check them out. Let me know about your readings in the comments below because I would love to hear about them. But yeah, thank you again, Keen, for sponsoring this video, and let's get into it. So this story, like I said, is absolutely insane. It is probably one of the craziest, just like most plot twisting stories that has maybe ever happened in regards to a missing person case. This story is just crazy. On August 31st of 1998 in Rockhampton, Queensland, Australia, Natasha Ryan went missing. Natasha was 14 at the time, and she got dropped off at school by her mom and then was never seen again, at least for some time, but we'll get into that. So she was reported missing, obviously, but she had ran away previously with her 22-year-old boyfriend, which is obviously also kind of a confusing thing. I just don't understand how he didn't get in trouble for the fact that she was 14 and he was 22. But I think that, I'm assuming since 1998, maybe the like laws were different. I think the laws are already different in Australia than they are in America, but I'm guessing because obviously he probably would have been charged with something related to that, but he wasn't. Her boyfriend, Scott Black, had helped her run away previously, but, you know, they were found like after a day or something. At that point, her parents were obviously very worried that she was missing, especially because this time Scott Black claimed that he did not know where Natasha was. He was like, yeah, I literally don't know, and he said that he hadn't spoken to her or anything. So this was when her parents started to get really, really scared. And 2 years after Natasha disappeared without hearing anything from her, it ended up becoming a likely idea that she was murdered, and most people believed this even, you know, shortly after she was missing. 2 years after she went missing in 2000, that was when an investigation started, because in this area of Rockhampton, there had been a couple girls who had gone missing, and some of them were murdered. So there was an assumption that there was this serial killer on the loose, and especially, well, I guess not really on the loose because it was like a suspected serial killer. They thought they knew who it was. It was a man named Leonard Fraser. It was assumed that he had killed all these people, including Natasha, and at that point, Leonard Fraser actually claimed that he did kill Natasha. He also claimed that he killed like a list of people, but Natasha was amongst the list. So at this point, of course, her parents assumed that she was dead because this man was telling them that he killed their daughter. However, on April 10th of 2003, the police got an anonymous tip that Natasha Ryan was alive and that she was living at this address. And so the police raided it, of course, and they found Natasha hiding in the closet of her boyfriend's home 5 years after her original disappearance. So now we're going to talk about things from Natasha's perspective and what happened the day that she went missing. So 5 years prior to this, Natasha was actually dealing with a lot of stuff at home. She was fighting with her mom constantly. She was, you know, dealing with her parents divorcing, and there was just kind of a lot going on for her. She didn't want to be at school, she didn't want to be at home, so she wanted to just run away. Like I said before, she had attempted to run away previously, and obviously that didn't end up working out for her. But this time, I guess, was successful in the eyes of someone who was trying to run away, because she did. She got dropped off at school, like I said, on August 31st of 1998 by her mom. And from there, she actually met up with her boyfriend, Scott Black, at the cinema. Apparently, it was completely Natasha's idea, and Scott didn't even want to be involved with it. It's just a shitty situation overall. It's a really shitty thing to do and shitty thing to put your parents through. But anyway, her and her boyfriend Scott Black met up at the local cinema, and from there they went to Scott's house in Yeppoon, sorry if you're from Australia, Queensland, Australia, and that was about 40 minutes away from her parents' house. So she was just sitting there in a house, just completely blacked out windows for 4.5 years in this specific house that was 40 minutes away from her parents. And basically she would never leave the house. She was horrified to leave the house because obviously people were looking for her. Like I said, the windows would be completely like blacked out with like curtains drawn all the time, but she did roam throughout the house. She like lived in the house. It's not like she lived in the closet. So, clickbait. But that's not necessarily untrue, because she did spend a lot of time in the closet as well, because anytime somebody would come around, or if like her boyfriend had any visitors over, she would go into the closet and just stay there until her boyfriend's friends or whoever he was having over left. Which would be a very hard life. Like, I just can't imagine like literally not seeing anybody but one person for 5 years. Is like crazy. But she would go out every so often. It would only be completely in the middle of the night. He would like drive her to the beach once in a while, like very, very once in a while, like probably not even that much. And she would just like go in the ocean like at night. I'm like sharks, but whatever. It did get pretty intense for her, and she wanted to call her parents, she wanted to leave, but she just like felt too scared, and that she had gotten in too deep. She didn't want her boyfriend to get in trouble, because she genuinely claims that her boyfriend did not want to even do this. Her boyfriend even claimed that Natasha threatened suicide multiple times when like he would, you know, propose the idea of deciding to like leave the house, or like, you know, tell her parents that she's fine. And then things started to get really complicated when, you know, this serial killer claimed that he killed Natasha. This was when she started to feel really bad, because then she knew her parents for sure thought that she was dead, and that's a horrible thing. And I can't imagine. After 4.5 years of living in this isolated house 40 minutes away from her parents' home, her boyfriend's job actually changed. Like, he was still a milkman, but his like route changed or whatever, so it ended up making him move back to Rockhampton, only 5 minutes away from where her parents lived. Like, for 6 months, 4.5 years after she went missing, she was only 5 minutes away from her parents' house, which is crazy. So Scott and Natasha lived in this house 5 minutes away from her parents' home for 6 months before an anonymous tip basically said, hey, I know Natasha Ryan is alive, and, you know, this is where she's living. Still confused as to where the anonymous tip came from. No one's quite sure. It's pretty interesting though, but the police obviously raided the house on April 10th of 2003, which is crazy because the next day was literally the day that the serial killer Leonard Fraser was going on trial for Natasha's murder. And here she is alive. The police found her in the closet, literally. Me pointing to a closet, you can't see. That's how she kind of got dubbed as like the cupboard girl or the closet girl. I guess it is like kind of clickbaity because she didn't actually spend 5 years in the closet, but it's where she was found, and also she did spend some time there. So the police, for some reason, I'm still kind of confused about this, did not end up telling her parents that she was found alive until the next day in the actual like trial for, you know, Leonard Fraser him murdering her. Like, that was like when it happened, basically. The police prosecutor, Paul Rutledge, was just like, well, Leonard Fraser did not murder Natasha because she's alive. And that's how her parents found out that she was alive, which is insane. And she actually attended her own murder trial because she had to answer questions and basically like told the police that she had never seen Leonard Fraser in her life. So she just basically answered some basic questions about her disappearance and stuff. And needless to say, Australia was pretty upset by the fact that she was just hiding out this whole time, because there was an entire police investigation that cost like $500,000 of taxpayer money. And just for her to have been hiding out at her boyfriend's house is pretty absurd. Leonard Fraser was still found guilty of murdering, you know, 3 other people. So he, you know, went to jail for the rest of his life and died in jail. But anyway, of course her parents were happy that she was okay, but they were very, very pissed off, obviously. Like, her mom didn't even want to see her at first because she was so mad, because how could you let your own parents think that you're dead? That is so fucked up. And I know she was 14 and it's like, you know, she made a decision to run away and then she was scared, so I kind of do sympathize with her a bit. But most of Australia definitely did not sympathize with her. They wanted both her and her boyfriend to, you know, pay back this money that, you know, was for this investigation. They wanted them to go to jail, all this stuff, and they did end up getting charged, but with different things. In 2005, Scott Black was actually sentenced to 3 years in jail because of perjury. Basically in 2002, when Leonard Fraser was like kind of being questioned and all that stuff was happening, he said on the stand at like one of his like court meetings or something, I don't know, that he did not know where Natasha was. So that's lying, because he did, and he served 3 years for that. But in 2006, Natasha was found guilty of causing a false police investigation, and she was only fined $1,000, which is crazy. It was debated whether or not she should have to pay towards the money that she, you know, was spent on this investigation that she could have avoided, because it's not like she didn't know what was going on. She had access to a TV and the internet. She knew that there was a full-blown investigation for her. Definitely most Australian people were like, she should absolutely pay the money back as much as she can. The judge ruled that she didn't have the means to pay this money back, so she didn't. She only ended up paying them $1,000. What's interesting is she sold her story to 60 Minutes for $200,000 that could have gone towards the taxpayers' money and refunding them for the false investigation that she caused. So that obviously was very frustrating for a lot of Australians. They were very upset that they, you know, had used the taxpayer money to, you know, have this investigation for this missing girl, and she was just alive the entire time, well knowing that this was going on. So Scott Black was further charged with $3,000 and then charged again and then actually had to pay $16,000 towards the investigation, you know, for also causing a false investigation. So he ended up having to pay a lot more money, which makes sense because obviously he was older, so he should have definitely known that this was costing a lot of money to investigate something that didn't happen. So that's pretty crazy that they still only paid $16,000. Like I said, it was like over $500,000 search, so definitely they got a lot of shit, and they ended up staying very far away from the public eye after doing the 60-minute interview for at least a couple of years, because in 2008 Scott and Natasha actually got married, and they made their guest be screened. They made them not be able to take any pictures, like probably sign some like NDAs or whatever. And then they sold their own wedding photos to Women's Day for exclusivity for $200,000. And it's now believed the couple has 3 children and live far away from any media you know, outlet, because I think that they're pretty not liked in Australia. I mean, I don't think that they like make that big of a deal about it. Like, I don't know if they would like get hate or anything like in person, like if someone saw them. But I mean, people were genuinely very, very pissed off. The investigators were pissed off. I mean, that is literally taking away time of investigating from other cases that are real. But what do you guys think about this story? I think that it is probably one of the craziest true crime stories ever, because I can't imagine like having actually followed that. I was so young at the time that I didn't hear about this story also. I'm sure I don't know if it made it like across the pond or whatever at that point. It'd be so crazy if you were in Australia during this time following this story. It's like knowing like, okay, she got murdered by the serial killer who's claiming that, you know, he murdered her. And then seeing her come back alive, like it just would be so crazy. So I can't imagine like what her parents went through. I feel so bad for her friends and like family. That's just awful. So yeah, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below any other true crime cases that you want me to cover. I would love to know. But that is it. Thank you again to Keen for sponsoring this video. Like I said, if you want your first 10 minutes for $1.99, go to trykeen.com/Michelle. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram because I'm always posting really dope ass shit on there. Subscribe for new videos every week, and I will see you guys later. Bye.